Welcome to the Padre podcast. This is episode number 14, and I welcome you to my home, which is the Bible Museum. This is Father Jose, your host. I am a forever student, and I hope you are too, because I would like to graduate in heaven. I hope you also are willing to do the same thing. And this is the 4th of July edition, so happy Independence Day to all of you. And what I have here in front of me is a small display of some items that are related to American history. So please stay tight, and we are going to take a look at these items. So what we have here is a selection of objects related to American history. This is by not means a complete picture of American history. These just happen to be biblical objects that I have in my biblical collection, and I would like to share with all of you. The first object that I have here is the Geneva Bible. It's a page from the book of Joshua in Old English. This is the 1599 edition. This is an original page of the Geneva Bible. When the Pilgrims arrived in the New World in 1620, they brought their most precious cargo, the Bible, specifically the 1599 Geneva Bible. All but forgotten in our day, this version of the Bible was the most widely read and influential English Bible of the 16th and 17th centuries. This translation was the product of Protestant scholars of the day and became the Bible of choice of many of the greatest writers and thinkers of that time, especially William Shakespeare. They used the Geneva Bible in their writings. It is a historically significant translation of the Bible into English, preceding even the King James Bible translation by 51 years. The Geneva Bible, the 1599 edition, was one of the Bibles taken to America on the Mayflower. This page came to me as a gift from a friend, and I display it in my Bible museum. So, 1599. I hope you enjoy it. And the book of Joshua precisely speaks of the entering of the people of Israel into the promised land. It's interesting that I have precisely this one page. Coincidence? Well, that's what I have. The next item that I have is the Base Psalm book of 1640. It's in English and it is a facsimile. So this is not an original, this is a copy, a facsimile copy. The Base Psalm book was the first book to be printed in North America, 20 years after the arrival of the Pilgrims in Massachusetts. Today, only 11 copies are still in existence and fetch as much as $14 million at auction, making it also the most expensive book in the world. Yes, that's why I have the poor man's version of the Base Psalms book. This copy, this facsimile copy, cost me around $100, something like that, because if I were to buy the real thing, this beyond my budget. So I'm looking for sponsors, but I don't have that kind of a budget. Originally published in 1640 as the whole book of Psalms faithfully translated into English, the unassuming Psalter undertook the translation of Hebrew Psalms into English for a growing population of New England Puritans, unhappy with contemporary translations and in need of a version that would better represent their beliefs. The book became popularly known as the Bay Psalm Book, named after the Massachusetts Bay Colony. So there you have it, the Bay Psalm Book, the very first printed book in North America in English. So as you can see, both books, the Geneva Bible and the Bay Psalm Book, predate the Independence Day of the United States, which happened on July 4th of 1776. but I wanted to show you these two early pieces of American history. Now we move to the next piece of my museum, which is the Jefferson Bible. This is a reprint in English of the 1820 version of the Jefferson's Bible. The Life and Morals of Jesus of Nazareth, commonly referred to as the Jefferson's Bible, was completed in 1820 by cutting and pasting with a razor and glue numerous sections from the New Testament as extractions of the doctrine of Jesus. Jefferson's condensed composition excludes all miracles by Jesus and excludes most mentions of the supernatural, including sections of the four Gospels that contain the resurrection and other miracles, and passages that portray Jesus as divine. Using razor and glue, Jefferson cut and pasted his arrangement of selected verses from a 1794 bilingual Latin and Greek version. Used the text of the Planting Polyglot, a French Geneva Bible, and the King James Version of the Gospels of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John in chronological order, putting together excerpts from one text with those of another to create a single narrative. Thus, he begins with Luke chapter 2 and Luke 3, then he follows Mark 1 and Matthew 3. He provides a record of which verses he selected and of the order he chose in his table of the texts from the evangelist employed in his narratives and the order of the arrangement. Consistent with his naturalistic outlook and intent, most supernatural events are not included in Jefferson's heavily edited compilation. Therefore, the Life and Morals of Jesus of Nazareth begins with an account of Jesus' birth without references to angels. Miracles and references to the Trinity and the divinity of Jesus and Jesus' resurrection are completely absent from his collection. So there you have it, the Jefferson's Bible of 1820. The next item that I have here is the Negro Bible, or also known as the Slave Bible, which is in English. It's a facsimile, and it was printed in 1807. 1807. The Slave Bible, also called the Negro Bible, is one of the most powerful examples ever witnessed of manipulation using a control narrative. The Anglican Church, along with the slave owners in the British West Indies and the United States, conspired to alter the Bible for the purpose of converting slaves to the Christian faith, while taking from them all hope of personal freedom found in the Bible. When slavery was legal, its proponents often justified it with the Bible, specifically a verse that tells servants to obey their masters. There were also a lot of verses that abolitionists could and did use to argue against slavery, but you wouldn't find those verses in the redacted Slave Bible. Most of the Old Testament is missing, and only about half of the New Testament remains. The reason? So that the enslaved Africans in the Caribbean islands of Jamaica, Barbados, and Antigua couldn't read or be read anything that might incite them to rebel. The Slave Bible was actually titled Parts of the Holy Bible, selected for the use of the Negro slaves in the British West India Islands. The Slave Bible doesn't include Moses leading the Israelites to freedom, but it does include Joseph's enslavement in Egypt. In the U.S., some sermons aimed at enslaved people portrayed Joseph as someone who accepts his lot in life, keeps his faith in God, and in the end is rewarded for it. I was checking this version and I noticed, for example, that those passages in which the people of Israel went from slavery to freedom are completely missing. Or, for example, Galatians chapter 3 in which St. Paul speaks that there is no slave or free, that chapter is completely missing, for example. Now, obviously, this work of the Bible, the slave Bible, can bring us down thinking that how the Bible could be manipulated. But we should also think of other people that use the Bible for the good, such as the saints of the church, American saints, St. Elizabeth Ann Seton, Mother Cabrini, Blessed Father Michael McGivney, Blessed Solanus Casey, and of course the great work of Dorothy Day, and most recently the civil rights movement of Martin Luther King Jr., who, inspired by the words of the Bible, led a movement of freedom and justice. So, this is just to make a point that the Bible was used for good as well. The final object that I have here in my museum is the New Testament for the Army of the USA, 1941. And this is in English, and it is an original object, and this was donated to my museum. The Bible here is a selection of passages from the New Testament in a devotional format for the Army. It has a dedicatory page dated March 6 of 1941, and it was signed by President Franklin Roosevelt. The content of this devotional Bible is organized for an entire year worth of reflection from December 1st through November 30th, and it was produced by the chaplaincy for the use of the Roman Catholic personnel of the Army. I hope you enjoyed this tour of my Bible museum and all these items related to American history and how the Bible came in English to this side of the Atlantic. As you know, the Bible came to this side of the world not only in English but also in Spanish. But the items that I have here are all in English. Also, I just want to say that as we celebrate the 4th of July, I also celebrate my American citizenship because 3 years ago I became an American citizen. So it's a great joy to be part of this great nation. So happy 4th of July to all of you, and stay holy. God bless you and continue your beautiful celebrations. Have a good day. Bye-bye.